The auctioneer's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Sold, $1, to the man in the black hat. Colter Grange didn't flinch as every eye in the saloon turned toward him. On the makeshift stage stood a girl, barefoot, hollow-eyed, silent. Her dress was little more than rags. Her father slumped against the bar, drunk, pocketing the coin without a backward glance. "She's deaf as a post," the auctioneer announced, wiping whiskey from his mustache. "Ain't spoke a word in 10 years. Won't work. Won't obey. Good luck with that one, mister." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone tossed a peanut shell at her. Colter stepped forward, boots heavy on warped floorboards. He removed his coat and draped it over her thin shoulders. She looked up at him, not with fear, but with recognition, as if she'd been waiting for him her entire life. Without a word, he led her out into the Montana snow. Behind them, her father ordered another drink and forgot she'd ever existed. The wagon creaked through 15 miles of frozen wilderness. Colter didn't speak. Neither did she. She sat beside him, wrapped in his coat, observing the pine trees sliding past like silent sentinels. He glanced at her once. Her eyes scanned everything, tracks in the snow, the flight patterns of ravens, the way the horse's ears swiveled at sounds he couldn't hear. Deaf, he reminded himself. Right. When they reached the ranch, the sun was setting behind the mountains, painting the snow gold and crimson. The cabin sat in a clearing, smoke curling from its chimney. Small, isolated, perfect for a man who wanted to be forgotten. Colter helped her down from the wagon. She stood, taking it all in, the barn, the fence line, the woods beyond. Then she looked at him and nodded once. Approval? Acceptance? He couldn't tell. "Come on," he said, forgetting again that she supposedly couldn't hear. "Let's get you inside before you freeze." She was already walking toward the door. Inside, the cabin was sparse, a stone fireplace, a wooden table, 2 chairs, a single bedroom, and a small loft above. Colter lit the lamps and stoked the fire. She stood in the center of the room, turning slowly, absorbing every detail. "You can take the bedroom," he offered. She followed his gesture, then shook her head. Pointing at the loft, then at herself. "You want the loft?" He nodded. "It's colder up there." She didn't move. He sighed. "Suit yourself." She climbed the ladder with surprising grace, disappearing into the shadows above. A moment later, she reappeared at the edge, looking down. She pressed her hand to her chest, then pointed at him. "Thank you." His throat tightened. She vanished again. Colter poured himself a whiskey and sat by the fire until it burned to embers. He'd bought a human being for $1, a child. What the hell was he supposed to do now? Morning came with the smell of coffee. Colter bolted upright. He hadn't made coffee. Stumbling to the kitchen, he found her standing on a chair, pouring grounds into the pot. Bread was sliced on the table, butter beside it. She turned when she heard him, gesturing to the table. "You did all this?" She nodded. "How'd you know where everything was?" She tapped her temple, then her eyes. "I looked." He sat slowly. She poured him strong, black coffee, perfect. Then she sat across, hands folded, waiting. "You got a name?" he asked. She hesitated, then reached for a pencil and slate. In careful, shaky letters, Iris. Iris. He repeated it. "Good name." She smiled, a small, fragile, but real smile. "I'm Colter," he said. She nodded. She already knew. 3 days passed. Iris moved through the cabin like a ghost, silent, efficient, always watching. She fed the chickens, gathered eggs, mended a torn shirt left on a chair. Colter found himself talking to her, old habits dying hard. "Storm's coming," he said one morning, checking the sky. Gonna need extra wood. She was already at the pile. Blinked. How'd you? She pointed at the clouds, then at the animals. You can read weather? He asked. She shrugged. Can't you? That afternoon, while mending the fence near the barn, Colter heard it, a low, guttural growl that made his blood run cold. He grabbed his rifle and ran inside. In the barn, a massive gray wolf stood cornered, teeth bared, eyes wild with pain and rage. 10 feet away, Iris knelt in the hay, hands out, humming. Get back! Colter shouted. She didn't move. The wolf's growls softened to a whine. She kept humming, low, rhythmic, almost a lullaby. The wolf limped closer, pressed its muzzle into her outstretched palm. Colter's hands shook on the rifle. What in God's name? Iris looked at him, calm as Sunday morning. She pointed at the wolf's leg, then at the medical kit on the shelf. Colter lowered the rifle and moved forward. Together, they cleaned the wound. The wolf never snapped, never flinched. When finished, it limped out into the twilight, paused at the tree lean, looked back at Iris one last time, then vanished. Colter turned to her. Who the hell are you? She smiled. Not broken. Not cursed. Extraordinary. By Sunday, half the town knew about Colter's deaf girl and the wolf. Stories grew with each telling, some said she'd sung to it, others claimed she cast a spell. The preacher called it witchcraft from the pulpit. Colter ignored it, but visitors came anyway. First, old man Hewitt, desperate. Your girl's got away with animals. My mare's gone wild, she'll starve if we don't help her. Colter looked at Iris. She already put on her coat. Alone, she walked into the pen. The mare charged. Colter reached for his rope. Iris stood perfectly still. The mare snorted, stamped, then nuzzled Iris's shoulder while she examined her hoof, removed the lodged stone. Hewitt stared, slack-jawed. I'll be damned. Word spread faster. They came in droves, ranchers, widows, farmers, all with animals gone awry. One by one, Iris fixed them. A touch, a hum, a look. Never asked for payment, never spoke, worked with quiet intensity that left people speechless. Colter watched from the porch, arms crossed, jaw tight. Attention unsettled him, but she didn't seem to mind. One evening, after the last visitor left, Colter found her by the creek, feet in the water, staring at the stars. You don't have to do this, he said. She picked up a stick and wrote in the dirt, they didn't know better. Now they do. You're a better person than me, he said. She smiled, leaned on his shoulder. For the first time in years, something in him cracked open. Hope. Late November came, bruised sky, still air. Colter chopped wood when Iris pulled him toward the root cellar. Horses screamed, chickens silent, wind stopped. No storm coming, Iris. Look at the sky. Thunder cracked like the world splitting open, sky green. A sound like a freight train roared over the mountains. She shoved him inside the cellar just as a tornado hit. 3 minutes of deafening roar. Dirt rained from the ceiling. They held each other, breathing shaking, until silence. They emerged to devastation. Neighbors' barns gone. Trees snapped like matchsticks. Grange ranch untouched. Winter arrived, snowed them in. Colter taught Iris to read. She taught him to listen, to ice creaking on the roof, the wind changing, the language of animals. One night, he asked why she didn't talk. She wrote, I did once. They hurt me for it. Her father. She nodded. I heard the devil. I was cursed. Easier to stay silent. Colter listened as she wrote everything she'd heard, animals, storms, people's hearts. You can hear death, he whispered. Sometimes, enough to terrify people. "You're not cursed. You're not broken," he said, kneeling. "You're a gift. You hear me?" Tears filled her eyes. "And you're safe now. No one will ever hurt you again. I swear it." For the first time in 10 years, she spoke. "Thank you." A whisper that shattered him. He held her while she cried, years of pain pouring out. That night, he realized he loved her. Spring thawed the valley, bringing new life. Preacher called a town meeting, branding her dangerous, unnatural. Colter stood by her side, voice cutting through murmurs. A gift. From God? No. But men? Yes. Her father beat her for telling the truth. She hears what you cannot because she was given compassion. The crowd went silent. Ranchers she helped stood for her. Widow. Farmer. Old man Hewitt. Even the sheriff. The preacher was outnumbered. The girl stays. Colter led Iris into sunlight. Summer arrived. Iris tended a garden of vegetables, herbs, wildflowers, humming to them. Colter watched, realizing life without her was unimaginable. One evening, as the sun set, he said, "I bought you for $1." She raised an eyebrow. "Worst investment I ever made." He grinned, "Now I owe you everything." He presented a small wooden box with a silver ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face. Yes. They married in a meadow behind the ranch. Whole town came, even the preacher grudgingly. She wore a simple white dress, wildflowers in her hair. When asked if she took Colter, she spoke clearly, "I do." First time most heard her voice. A year later, Iris gave birth to a daughter, Grace, with Colter's dark hair and Iris's knowing eyes. Town gathered to celebrate. Sheriff brought whiskey, Hewitt a cradle, widow a quilt. Iris stood in the doorway holding Grace, surrounded by people who had once feared her and now loved her. Colter beside them realized miracles often come in silence. Iris hadn't needed saving. She had been saving him all along. Years later, travelers passing through Montana would hear stories of Grange Ranch, of the woman who calmed storms and spoke to animals, and the man who bought her for $1 and gained a kingdom. Some said legend. Others, truth. Those who knew understood love doesn't need words, it only needs to be seen.